Hi, and welcome to SorWil Solutions, where we talk about what's going on in our community. Today, we have a special guest, Anne Parelkar, who is running for U.S. Senate. She's a immigration attorney and has a background as a lawyer. And so I just found out about you when I spoke with Mike Trapp the other day. So I'm real interested in hearing about you, what your platform is, all the things that you're planning to do for our country. And we're just super excited to have you here. So thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're going around right now. You're just running for Senate. Are you also attorneying or?
I still have a few cases that are open. And then I get some people, of course, immigration is really big right now because of everything that's going on. So I do get people asking me questions and calling me. And so I do, but I'm not taking any new clients, but I will connect people, places, and try to help them get in the right direction.
I'm super interested in hearing about a lot of what's going on with the immigration and ICE and all that. But how did you get into that business? Did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be an attorney? I mean, in my case, you didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be an IT person.
So so when I was little, I was raised mainly by my dad and his parents. And my dad was a businessman. And actually my grandfather was an entrepreneur as well. So that's kind of always been in our family. And I knew that I was supposed to go to school. I knew that I was supposed to get a higher education. I went to undergrad for history and political science, and I got a secondary education concentration. I was going to teach. And so,
where'd you go to school?
Lyon College. It's a Presbyterian small college in Batesville, Arkansas.
Okay.
And so after that, I applied for some jobs teaching, and also had it in the back of my mind, well, maybe I'll go to law school, right? And so I ended up getting a job at a law firm and then went to law school, I think about 3 years later. And so that's how I ended up in the law. And when I was in law school, I actually met my husband, who's a first generation immigrant from Mumbai.
Okay.
He had come on a student visa and got his PhD in it's all over my head. Sciences, right? But in pharmacology, I think. And so he was down in Arkansas actually for about 6 months when we met. And I got interested in immigration because of him. And there was an immigration law course there. And so I decided to take it because I needed another course to take. And I really enjoyed it. And so then fast forward, it's just something that I ended up liking doing. I've done other areas of the law in the past. Immigration was really flexible, so I could do it around my kids' schedules and I could take the cases that I wanted to. And also it's, when I had my daughter, I just couldn't do family law anymore because there's so much in it, so much that with kids and everything. And it was just too much for me. But with immigration law, I felt like I was helping people. And it was always, most of the time it was happy at the end, so.
The temperature of the world we live in now, I mean, it's pretty hot when it comes to immigration and closing the borders. What's your opinion on that, and what are your thoughts there?
I think that they've turned this into a black and white issue, like they've done everything else. Like it's one extreme or the other, but that's just not reality, right? Like we have to keep our country safe, right? We have to keep our country safe for the people that are in it. And that's not just the people that were born here, that's the immigrants as well, right? Nobody wants violent criminals in our streets. At the same time, we are founded on, immigrants coming for a better life, for freedom, So I think there's a balance that we can find there. It's for lack of a better word, it's stupid to not make sure that we're vetting the people that are coming into our country, right? But it's also, I believe, against our values to just shut down immigration altogether. So there's got to be a balance in there somewhere. But unfortunately, the people that want to run for office want to use that as a hot button issue to get elected. And so they don't actually provide any solutions like so many other things that they do. They just keep kicking the can down the road and making us fight about it.
Interesting. As you look at what is currently being done, and I think, would you say that this is an administration issue, or would you say that there really is an issue with open borders?
Any sovereign nation has to protect its borders, right? I believe that the problem, I believe that it's been used to scare people into hating immigrants and to divide our country. There is something that needs to be done, right? We have to secure our country. We also thrive. We have been the forefront of technology and everything else all these years because we allow the best of the best to come in, right? And historically, I mean, the Statue of Liberty says it, right? Give me your poor, your child, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. It is part of America to have immigrants striving and coming for a better life. We are where we are because of it. We cannot shut it down entirely, but we also have to be smart. So, repeat the question. I'm sorry.
Do you think that this topic is simply a topic because the Trump administration has made this a huge topic, or do you think we really have a problem with open borders?
I think that we have an issue with allowing people in that haven't been vetted. This is my understanding, and but I don't think it's as big of a problem as they wanted to make it out to be. But when you have a huge influx of people coming into the country, right? If you're not making sure that they are coming for the right reasons, well, then anybody can. I mean, there are people in the world that hate us, right? We can't just pretend that there's not.
Sure.
So yes, we have to address how we do our immigration system. We have to address who we allow in our country. We have to make sure that the people that are coming are not those that want to harm us. And that's for everybody. That's for the immigrants that are coming as well. The people that are fleeing cartels don't want the cartels here. They're running away from them. So I think it's a problem. I just don't think that it's the problem the way that they frame it.
So my family, my mom came here from Cyprus. I'm a second generation immigrant as well, I would say. My father's mother came from Italy. She came through Ellis Island. When we lived in Jersey for a few years, I actually got to see that when we visited the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. So it's an interesting topic. I think people's problem isn't necessarily that we want to shut the borders down. I think the problem is the way that we're going about it. And people being taken off the streets and the way that they're being taken off the streets.
Yes.
And so that's a tough subject because not everybody is a bad person. Not everybody is a criminal. And we need a certain amount of workers here to do the things that, frankly, people just don't want to do. People don't want to pick apples for $3 an hour. And we certainly don't want to go to the store and pay $15 a pound for apples.
Right.
So how do we find, and I know this really isn't where the questions lied, but since we're going down this tunnel, how do we solve that? Because we've had this problem for a long time.
Right. Well, and I want to point out, I think you're exactly right. People are not against, securing our borders and making sure our immigration system is fixed. I think most people agree that we need immigration reform in this country. But the way that we are doing it is cruel and inhumane, and it goes against who we are, who we're supposed to be as the United States of America, right? Who I grew up believing we are. And so we can enforce our laws, but we can also do it within the bounds of human dignity. And we should. Now, how do we keep our society functioning? As you said, historically, we've relied on this labor, right? Our farmers do rely on this labor.
Definitely.
They have to have it, and they should not have to be afraid that they're going to lose their workers at any point in time, right? Like you cannot run any business without some sort of continuity, right? You have to have your employees, you have to have your system set up, and you need that to function kind of fluidly. Well, if we're just ripping workers away from farmers, or if farmers can't legally get the workers. So this is my understanding. I had a conversation with a fella that I think was a professor at K-State. And he was explaining to me that, so the farmers attempt to follow the law, right? I think they can apply for, once they hire somebody, they have so much time to file that, what is it, the I-9 or whatever, do the employment verification. And if that person can work until that's done, and once that's done, if they're not eligible to work, well, then they have to be let go, right? So let's say that's 90 days, right? Well, now you've got workers that if they're not authorized to work, well, they're rotating out every 90 days. That's not sustainable. When you have an employee, you want to keep your employee, right? They know how to run it. it's making it impossible for farmers to farm. It's making it impossible for our communities to thrive. We have people that want to come and do this work. We can give them a legal pathway to do it. And then we document who's here. If we allow them to bring their families, and they will want to bring their families. And when you see it, when they'll open restaurants, they'll invest in that community. They will work to lift up the community as well. So we want to talk about how we want our smaller communities to thrive again. Well, there's a way to make it happen. And once you have that, well, then you're going to start attracting more people back to those little towns, because people like small town life. I like it, but it's impossible to live there if there's nothing there, right? So I think I maybe went off on a tangent, but
that's okay.
But yeah, I think that there are ways to make it happen where basic human dignity is upheld, where we have the workforce that we need, where the wages and the pay of American citizens are not impacted because of these. If you allow them to work, well, now we know they're not getting paid under the table, right? And they still pay taxes. Just for the record, immigrants pay taxes even if they're undocumented. But then we have some sort of way to keep up with it all and to make sure that Americans aren't like the construction workers, right? Like we have American construction workers. My grandfather was a contractor. He built all kinds of things around Palm Bluff, Arkansas. But if you're going to get cheap labor somewhere else, where you're going to go get the cheap labor, right? So these people are being used by everybody, but nobody wants to let them exist here, right? I don't know what the solution is, but I know it's not what we're doing right now.
It doesn't work very well, but then I think it brings into a couple of questions, like if they're here legally, how does that fall into like minimum wage? Are we back to the problem of now we're paying legal workers here minimum wage to do what was being paid?
Right.
So now the cost of food is going up. We already know that inflation's on the rise. We've got tariffs to deal with. This is just another thing that's costing the American people. But before we go to that road, what is this the issue that made you decide to run for U.S. Senate? What was the issue that made you wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to run for Senate?
So we have spent the last at least 12 years in a very polarized society, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spent a long time just mad at everybody on the right. Didn't like him. How dare you vote for this man?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Biden won. And oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. We're back to normal, right? Well, then Trump won again. And I had still isolated myself. I still wasn't speaking to some of my own family members. And then I decided, well, that's not working, right? And the temperature in this country is very hot right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We're all on edge. So I started going back out of my little echo chamber, my little whatever that I made for myself. And I've been momming as well. So didn't really have to deal with that many people that weren't children. So children are much more pleasant. But I started looking at what the people on the right were seeing in their news feeds, right? And I was going, well, if this is what I'm seeing, well, I'm probably voting the same way they did. But then I know the people on the left too, they're being shown completely different information. But if I'm seeing what they're seeing, well, I'm on their side. But also, we've all just been forced to choose between two sides, right? Like, none of us have been given a really good option. And we've all done the best that we can with the information that we've had. We've all tried to do the best for our country, but we're still polarized. And we may be getting more and more polarized every day with every single thing that happens. There's some uproar about it, whether it's an attack somewhere and we're looking to see, oh, are they left? Are they right? Are they on my side? Are they not on my side? Well, we got to stop with the sides, right? Because we're either pro-America or we're not, right? We're either for the land of the free and the home of the brave or we're not. I am. I don't care if you are on the right or the left. These political parties have way too much power and control. It's not meant to be that way. And it is antithetical to what we're founded upon, right? The people are supposed to say who goes to represent them. But instead, what we've ended up with is a social club of two political parties that try to run everything. And I won't say all of them, but too many of these politicians are just looking for a ladder to climb up in society, right? To better themselves. They're not going there to work for us. And so I was trying to figure out what can I do to try to help my country. And went out to the Oakley Town Hall to meet Roger Marshall. And of course, he didn't want to talk to me. And, if he had, maybe I wouldn't be running for office. But he had no interest in...
Why didn't he want to talk to you?
He didn't want to talk to anybody. He just wanted to go and say what he wanted to say and say how great he is and how he's doing everything well and get pats on his back. But that's not your job. Your job is not to go get pats on your back. Your job is to listen to your constituents, whether they like you or not, and then try to either help them understand why you're doing what you're doing or understand what you need to do to meet their needs. I don't think he has any idea what the people of Kansas need. I don't think a lot of them have any idea what their constituents need. And I think too many of them are there just to rubber stamp it. They've been, and this process actually has solidified my mind in that we need to get most of these career politicians out. They are not working for us. And these political parties have too much control because they want to decide who's going to be the nominee, right? They want to control it. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it's supposed to be. And so I'm just sick of it.
But you are running as a Democrat then? Or are you running as an independent?
There's no choice, right? Like, there's no choice. You're not going to win. They'll keep you out. They may keep me out anyway. I do not like where the Republican Party is right now. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily like where the Democratic Party is right now. In fact, I was listening to a radio show one day, and there was a fella on there that I didn't agree with anything that he said. But he said this. He said, we don't have a bi-party system. We have a uniparty system. And that struck something in my mind. And I said, oh my God, he's right. They're all corrupt. They're all just using our offices of public service to line their own pockets, to make themselves rich. And they're not doing anything for any of us. They're just making us fight with each other so that they can get reelected again. I'm done with it. We should all be done with it.
Outside of immigration, what do you think is the next biggest issue that's hurting our country?
The billionaires, the big corporations. I think that we need to enforce our antitrust laws. I think we need to update them. I think that we need to bust up some of these big tech companies. And if we do that, I think that will solve. I think that will help with a lot of the problems that we already have.
One of the things that I hear in the news constantly is the country isn't affordable anymore. Buying food is too expensive. Buying things are too expensive. And the president has argued that that's not quite true. Where do you think we are realistically on that map?
Well, all I know is it's harder for me when I go to the grocery stores, and everybody that I talk to seem to be holding in their purse strings a little more this year. And, they'll tell us, well, inflation is down, so affordability is better. But that's not reality, is it? That's not how it works. You can tell me all day inflation is down, but when I go to the store and I can't afford the stuff that I afforded last week, or my grocery cart with $100 used to be full and now it's got like 3 items in it. Well, you can tell me all day that it's more affordable, but my reality is that it's not. So I just want them to stop lying to us. But how do we make things more affordable? Well, for one thing, we have to stop allowing this consolidation of wealth at the top 1%, right? Mm-hmm. We have to revive our middle class. We have to allow our unions to organize. We have to get those rights back. And of course, the PAWA just passed the House, and now it's on to the Senate, and we'll see what happens. But until we get these bought and paid for politicians out of our office, until we get out of our offices, until we get big money out of our government, it's never going to happen because the corporations own it. And they're working for them. They're working for their donors. Then you're not going to get the big money if you don't, right? You're not going to get your back in your seat of power. So it's not in any of their interest to help us. So we have to go with people that are with us, mm-hmm. that will go and serve and help us before themselves.
Where do you sit on term limits?
Do them. a long time ago do them. And you know what? I think that our country was founded on, and people will tell me, well, we have this terrible past. Yes, acknowledge that. I am a history major. I have studied it, and we should acknowledge it, learn from it, and not repeat our same mistakes. But what we were founded on is actually beautiful, right? It is the idea that all people are free and all people have equal rights to this world.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of that, we have this hoarding of wealth at the very, very top. To me, if you hoard that much wealth, that's inherently evil. If you're hoarding that much wealth while people are starving, that's inherently evil, right? And I don't think that that's the way that our society was meant to be. Like, that's not capitalism for people, right? That's corporate socialism is what we have right now, right? When we bail out these big corporations because they're going to go under, well, they give their CEOs raises, but they cut employees. Well, that's not how it's supposed to work. We really need to get, and I think I ran off on a tangent again. Tell me the question.
That's okay. No, it's good.
But we really need to get companies back into our societies. We need to break up these big corporations. We need our communities to come back together. And when we do that, I think we will see a revitalization of our country, a revitalization of our middle class. A 40-hour work week should get a person their basic needs met. Okay. Now you can work harder, more, longer, whatever you want to do to have luxuries. That's okay. Having more is okay. Working for more is okay. But doing it when, like, let's say, for example, at least this is my understanding. Walmart, for example, sorry, Walmart, don't come at me. But like Walmart, for example, will not hire their employees full time so that they don't have to give benefits, right? Well, why are we then subsidizing that corporation by paying their employees out of our taxes, right? Make them pay their employees. We, the taxpayers, will save money and everyone will be better off for it.
You're very passionate. I like it.
I get fired up. Sorry.
I think that's good. No, I think people need to get fired up because these are topics that are impacting families across America.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. Everybody has a point of view that has some legitimacy to it. Talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that's become a no-no in our day and age now. And we're seeing people forcing it out. And where is that leading us? Why has that become such a bad word?
Because it allows politicians to keep us fighting so that we don't see what's really going on. So while they're still lining their pockets, you and I are fighting over somebody else's genitals. Like, what is that? What? I don't care. I don't care about anybody else's private parts. Sorry if that's too PG-13, everybody.
No, you're good.
But truly, like, they have us fighting like children over these ridiculous things while they are sucking us dry. And if you really, really look at it, this is not just an America problem. This is a worldwide problem. This is a global oligarch problem. And until the people decide that we're not each other's enemies and we stop looking at each other as, oh, well, he has something better than me. Well, she has something better than me. Well, we're all in the same boat. We're all just trying to make it, right? They're the ones that are controlling it all. But they want us to instead argue about genitals and skin color instead of actually focusing on what's really going on. And it's a great distraction. They've been very successful at it.
So I think the comment that you're going to hear on the campaign trail is, where do you stand on boys and girls sports? Because I heard that I was running for city council or city commission. I was asked about that, and that has nothing to do with the city commission. So I'm sure you're going to hear that.
Right. I'm sure I am too. I mean, I don't know the answers to these questions. I can't change people's hearts. I cannot legislate people's hearts, right? What I can do is I can go and try to give this government back to the people. I can try to get corruption out. I can try to pass legislation that will actually help people again. But these social issues, right? That's going to take social change. It's going to take people trying, wanting, interested in understanding the other side, right? I told you when I came in, like my parents divorced when I was around 2, right? I don't really remember it. My mom left and I was raised by my father, and Um, my two older brothers were with me, and his parents. I spent 40 years of my life thinking my mother didn't care about me. She spent 40 years of my life thinking she's doing everything that she can, and why does my daughter hate me? Okay. Earlier this year, we had a conversation, and instead of me coming at her, how dare you do this to me? All of that, just in anger, we were able to come with the point of view of understanding and curiosity. So if you really want society to solve these kinds of problems, well, we're going to have to be able to sit down and come at each other with curiosity and understanding rather than anger and hatred and vitriol. I mean, these are things that probably aren't the government's business. Like, I feel like let the kids figure it out. I feel like the kids could do a better job than us. But I can't tell everybody what's right and what's wrong. So I don't know. I don't know the answers to that one. I don't know. I don't know enough about the science. I don't know enough about bring people together who have strong feelings about it. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can come to some kind of a conclusion where we can all live together and move forward. What I do know is this: we all live here. We're going to have to figure it out. I don't care if you want to go home and be racist, or you want to go home and be call people Nazis, or whatever you want to do. Go home and do it. Leave each other alone in the streets. Let's have some sort of polite society again. Some sort of functional, polite society again.
Healthcare has become a big issue these days, and we saw the government shut down with the Democrats saying that it was about healthcare subsidies and the fact that they're going away in January. The government still hasn't come to any type of real solution for that. People are worried that January 1st, their healthcare costs are going to skyrocket. How can we do something about that? What is your thoughts on that?
First of all, they're not doing anything about it, not because they can't, because they won't, because again, elections are coming up and they need something to run on. I have proposed that we start off with, here to me, and here's my thing is like, I don't necessarily care how we solve the problems or what we call them. I care that we do something for the American people, right? So my proposal is we start out with Medicare for all children under 18. You're able to be taken into the system, right? So we're going to cut out that patchwork of, the CHIP and the Medicaid and the employer, whatever, all of those things that are kind of going towards it, and we will just have all kids under Medicare, right? Well, that's gonna save employers money because they're not gonna have to now cover those healthcare costs. They're not going to have so many options in the insurance plan, whatever. And sorry, I don't know all the technical words, but so they're gonna. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So that will it will also free up people, right? Because if I'm working at a job and my kid has medical needs, well, I can't leave that job because I need that insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have all kids covered by Medicare, well, now people can leave their jobs without that concern. So to me, that's a free society, right? Or a freer society. We're not free when we're bound to these employers all the time, when we're bound to these corporate, bad words, but that's not freedom. And until we rebalance that power, we're never going to have it. But now I've gone off in a tangent. But that will save our families money. We will keep some families from going bankrupt for trying to take care of their kids that meet their medical needs. And at some point, hopefully, what I would really like to see is we can start expanding it, right? Because kids are they're the cheapest to insure. They're the most vulnerable. Them and the elderly are the most vulnerable in our society. So let's build up that fund, and then maybe we can start expanding it. But here's what I don't understand, right? Is like I hear so many different things, right? Like we should or should not have government healthcare, right? But what I do know is this: private health insurance is not working. They are allowing people to die while they wait on their approval, right? Like let's say you get cancer. Well, you're taking now months to go just get to the doctor. And then after that, you have months of the insurance company trying to deny your claim, right? Well, in the meantime, hopefully you die and then they get to keep their money. That's what they think, right? How is that? How is that just? How is that legal? What are we doing? I don't know that you should have anything where human life is in the balance as a private entity, as a for-profit entity, right? Because there's always that desire of the wealthy, of the shareholders, of the CEO to get more and more and more profit. Well, at some point, you can't get any more profit from your services or what you're doing. So you got to start cutting the quality. You got to start cutting here. You got to start denying people's claims. Well, it's evil.
Do you support then governmental health care for everyone?
I don't. If we can do it, then yes. If we can do it, then we should. Let's figure it out. Why can't we do it? I don't know why we can't. Now, you can tell me it's money, but then, okay, well, let's doge this, right? But let's actually doge. Let's not look for, the woman who's working 3 jobs and we're now, again, subsidizing her employer. Let's look at who's really causing all this fraud, waste, and abuse. Where is it really going? Well, I saw Rand Paul call it out once. They're giving their buddies contracts in the government, right? And they charge them like $500 a nail. Why are we paying that? You want to talk about fraud, waste, and abuse? Well, there it is. I think if we start looking up for this fraud, waste, and abuse, we're going to find a whole lot more money than if we look sideways.
That's interesting. I went to had to have a CT scan on my lung the other day. And just as an aside here, because I thought this was interesting because I kind of think this fits into that. And so when I ran through my health insurance, it was going to be $2,000 that I had to pay. And the doctor's office was willing to take 75% of that up front, which was like $800. So I'm like, you know what? I really don't need that. But they said if I self-paid, it was going to be $160. Right. So I find that interesting, kind of tied into what you're saying. Why is that? Why are we charging the insurance companies so much more simply because the hospitals can get it? And I'm not, I'm not trying to take a stand on socialistic medicine at all because I've heard a lot of things. I've got an uncle who lives in England who says he can't get into the doctor for months at a time, right, simply because there's a long waiting list because everybody has access.
I've heard that too.
I've talked to doctors who say they come here out of socialistic societies because they can make more money. So there's a number of arguments. Right. I like your idea that children should be covered. Once again, I'm not sure how you pay for that. But I think it's interesting that the whole health insurance piece of it is, how can we manage that better so we can provide better service? But anytime the government gets involved, things get messed up anyways. And I'm not for more regulation. I'm actually for less regulation, right, because I want the government, as a centrist that leans to the right. I want less government in my life on a daily basis.
I understand that.
Kind of moving on here. Where do you stand on public education, especially as we look at Kansas? There's a mill, a dedicated mill of, I think it's like 50% of that goes to the schools. We've lost about 10,000 or more than 10,000 children living in the state of Kansas just this year alone. The number of children in Kansas is on the decline. How can you, as a U.S. Senator, help the state of Kansas bring more people in and have more and help our public schools in that regards?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what falls on the federal government and what falls on the state. I believe that we need a complete overhaul of our education system. Okay, I have 2 kids in public schools. We are failing our children. We are failing our country as part of it, and we have been going down this path for a long time, right? Like, I believe that our education system has been failing more and more as we've gone along the way, right? We need to invest in our schools. We need to pay our teachers. And when you do that, you will get the best of the best, right? I would teach if it paid better. I know a lot of professionals who would teach if it paid better. And you don't necessarily need to be, you don't need to be a professional to teach, right? You just need to be able to teach. But we can't hold on to our good teachers because we don't pay them. We can't attract teachers because we don't pay them. That's an easy solve, in my opinion. Pay the teachers, fund the schools, and you will have better schools. Now, I would like to see a minimum standard for the country, right? Like, I believe that every child deserves a minimum level of education. I don't know why we couldn't do that on a federal level, but I mean, I guess somebody can tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say about it. We need to fix it. I want to get all the screens out of our schools too. I think we rely way too much on tech. I think it's making us dumb. I think this is across the board. We need to figure out how to get people off of this and back to reality. Otherwise, we're going to end up living in their virtual world. And I really don't want to. I mean, they want to move everything to there, right? And we're just going to, I don't know what their end game is. Like, I don't know what their goal is, but I don't think it's anything I like.
So there's a little bit contentious here because being a tech company, I would argue that moving away from technology, especially in our students, would put us behind because the rest of the world is already using technology and moving forward. And I see a world where, and I don't know what anybody else is going to say about this, but what if you had a virtual classroom that had kids from all across the world in it?
That sounds pretty awesome.
And, now you're really getting the opportunity to almost do an exchange program where you're doing class with kids from other countries and learning about their cultures firsthand. One of the things that I enjoyed about being an Army brat was the fact that I grew up a lot in Germany and moving around and getting to see new things and having new experiences. And so I would argue that there is some value and a little bit of diversity there that I think that we're missing out on.
I think that's a great idea. I love that. So, and I don't disagree with you. We can't just completely take it out, right? Like we have to prepare our children to compete in the world. And so they have to learn tech. We have to continue developing. The rest of the world's not going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see is we're becoming so reliant on it as a species that eventually we're not going to know how to do anything anymore. And what happens when that goes away?
Do you advocate for kids learning to write in cursive in school? And I ask you that because my 14-year-old, I have a 14-year-old at home, never had to learn that.
I don't know why not. I mean, I think it's just more literacy, right? And not only that, but there are so many things in cursive still, and they're not gonna just disappear. And quite frankly, it's a lot harder to print everything. Like I want to write in cursive, so please learn how to read it for my sake.
As you go down this journey, have you started knocking doors? I mean, where are you at on this journey to the U.S. Senate?
So, it's been a big learning curve, right? Like I've never been in politics before.
Sure.
Never really imagined that I would. I can't imagine. Like I can't count how many times that I was probably like do something stupid and be like, oh, thank God I'm never running for office, So so this was not on my agenda for my life. And it's been a really big learning curve. And I love getting out and meeting people. I love hearing their stories. And so part of what I'm doing is like, you're welcome to set up a Zoom call with me. It's on my website. And I'll talk to anybody that wants to talk to me, whether you agree with me or not. And I believe that that's how we actually figure out the solutions that we need to figure out. We figure out how we're going to move forward together as a country without, going down bad paths that I don't want to see. So I would welcome anyone that wants to reach out to me to do that. I'm also doing interviews with people, oral history interviews, which is one of my favorite things to do because I get to learn about the person and they also get to give us some of their knowledge, which I think is huge. I think that there's so much, bless you, there's so much wisdom that we are lacking because, we're always stuck on this. We're not getting our stories anymore from our elders. We're not getting that wisdom handed down. And so those conversations are so important. And so that's part of what I'm doing. But I've been calling people, I've been reaching out to people. We've been holding, some events. I've been going to some of the Democratic things. But the thing is, everybody keeps telling me, you've got to win the primary. You've got to win the primary. Okay, fine. But they're also telling me that our country is falling apart, right? We're being torn down the middle. I don't care about winning a Senate seat. I care about saving our country. So if I lose a Senate seat because I'm not focused on just winning a primary, so be it. But what I want to do with this campaign is I want to bring people together, people who disagree on things, who think that the other side just will not have, because they've made us think that both sides are just full of extremes, right? Like if you supported Trump or you voted Republican, well, you're a racist. And if you voted this way, well, you're a crazy lunatic. I don't even know. But that's not reality. Reality is most of us are in the middle, just doing the best that we can. And so what I really want to do, and if anybody wants to help me do it, I would welcome you. What I really want to do with this campaign is bring people together to talk. Normal people, let's figure out what we want. And then whether I win or not, let's make sure that whoever does win does it for us. Make sure they're going to listen to you. Make sure they're not there for big money, for their status, or whatever else. And how you do that, I don't know. You're going to have to decide who you trust and who you don't. But I don't trust anybody right now.
How many people from your side of the table how many Democrats are running?
So far there's 5.
5, okay. And how many Republicans? Is it just Roger Marshall?
I think there's 2.
Okay.
There's him, and then there's some other fellow that I don't remember his name, but I did see him pop up.
Interesting. So I was telling you earlier, I lost my first election to the county seat, but I won my second election to the city commission. So I'm currently 7 days into being a Leavenworth City Commissioner.
Oh, wait a minute. I was there. I saw you. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And I say that I do appreciate that, but I say that because I learned so much from that first election and the process I had to go through and where I spent my time and energy. That the second election, I think it benefited me. Mm-hmm. Knocking doors was one of the things that we did a lot of. But I also had a great social media team that really got out there and in front of everybody. And like I was telling you earlier, that's kind of how the podcast was born, was from the social media following and the fact that we didn't want to just shut down the page and lose that. We have access to a number of people and we want to keep people informed because like you, I agree that we need to sit down and talk. So as a sitting commissioner, one of the things that has really bothered me is we have this big core civic issue going on in town. And no matter which side you're on, it doesn't matter. I think both sides need to be heard. Mm-hmm. And we hear a lot of the people who are against it right now. Mm-hmm. But the people who are supporting it are almost scared to come because they're concerned about conflict. And that bothers me that we live in 2025 and people are scared to voice their opinions. But we see what happens to people who speak out, whether you're on the right or the left. We have the Charlie Kirk issue, which was saddening. It was a tragedy. It was a tragedy, simply because people didn't like his voice or what he was saying. But that's what our country was founded on.
He didn't do anything that warranted a death sentence.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. I mean, speaking is not death sentence worthy, whether you like what they say or not. And for the record, I'm so tired of our politicians using tragedies for themselves for political gain. I just think it's gross. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you a little bit.
No, that's kind of where I was going. Can you tell me,
because like you said, I don't know what the argument in favor of core civic is. So can you tell me?
So I can tell you the pros and cons. because sitting on the city commission, it's kind of a very gray area because there's a lot of background that I know that I can't really talk about at the moment.
Sure, okay.
The big concern against CoreCivic right now is the history.
Right.
The concern about the treatment of individuals, the concern about what the company has done in the past, and the fact whether they'd be able to hire enough staff. And the pros are the fact that the city would be receiving additional income. There's a property tax piece to it, to our community that is really suffering from high property taxes that would help alleviate some of that. The promise of 300 jobs that would hopefully draw people from outside of our community to come hopefully live here.
Right, I have heard that.
So there are a number of pros and cons. People will argue. And what's really interesting is 2 years ago, we had this same discussion. And the left had considered opening or allowing CoreCivic to open, and they were going through the investigative process of discussing it with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the right at the time, there was a House representative who was super vocal against it. They're going to let them out in our communities. We are not going to be safe. This is a tragedy. And it got shut down pretty quick, the whole discussion. It was merely an exploratory conversation, but it really got shut down. Fast forward 2 years later, we have a shift in administrations. And now the right is in full support of CoreCivic, and we should open it. And we're trying to stop Trump from saving our country. And the left is now against it. And when you talk to people trying to get past where their real concern lies, is it just they don't like the administration and they want to thumb their nose at it? Is it that, they're supporting their president? And I will say that regardless of who the president is, we should never hope that he fails, because the country would fail. But it's interesting to see the shift in what is happening simply based on who's in power.
I agree with you.
But the thing that bothers me the most about this is people feel like they can't speak their mind for fear of judgment.
Yes, that I completely agree with you. And it's not helpful to solving these issues. And this is another one of those things that they don't want to solve, because why change your position just based on who's in control at the time, right? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? And that's that actually this division, and we can argue whether we're divided over CoreCivic or ICE or private parts or whatever we're arguing about, right? That is just a tactic to keep us divided, to keep the people apart. And I don't know who's doing it to us or why. I have my theories. But like I said, we're all in the same boat. We're all just trying to figure out what's real and what's not. But they also use these, they'll use them to terrify people. And people are scared. People across the border scared. People on the right think that people on the left want to murder them all. People on the left think that people on the right want to murder them all. And guess what, people? Most of us don't want any of that. Most of us just want to live our lives. And so that's when I say, we have to come together. And I will say to you, if you want to come and talk to me and you are afraid to speak your mind publicly because you think that your view might be attacked, or even if maybe it is an important view, I don't know how far down, I don't know how far I'd let you go with that, but depending on this, on the topic, but I've had somebody tell me that they think that women shouldn't be in the workforce. Well, okay, well, that's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Go and have it. I don't care. I am not going to do that. I do not support that, and I do not agree with it. But that's okay for you to have your opinion, right? Like I said, I can't change people's hearts. I can try. That's going to be on a community basis, on us coming together and talking. What a legislator can do is go and try to make life better for people. And then people can maybe try to come together and learn to like each other, or at least learn to live together. But for CoreCivic, it's another one of those things where I don't think that it is right to have a for-profit entity where lives are at stake, because there's always that measure to try to make more. And where do you cut those costs? Well, we saw it with Core Civic, right? Like we see the former employees coming and telling us. So I'm not. I don't think that private prisons are. I don't think we should have them.
That's interesting. How difficult will it be for you to represent both sides of the coin? For those people who are very against you and completely disagree with you?
Well, there's going to be some people that, there are extremists, right? This is what I say is like, because I say, we're going to have to talk to each other. And then they're like, well, we're not talking to. Okay. I'm not suggesting that we go and try to work something out with these extremists, right? Extremism has no place in our government, no matter where it is. There are extremists in every religion, in every race, in every country, in everything, right? They are the fringe. They should be. But they've been able to utilize our fear to kind of take over, in my opinion. We need to come back together and just forget them, right? Forget the extremists. I want to talk to people who really care about this country, who want to figure out what we're going to do to make it work for us all again. And then we're going to do it. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way, right? Like we just need to get the people together, get everybody together and talk about. Let's come up with the ideas. But we're not going to do it if we just sit there saying, I'm right and you're wrong. Because odds are you're wrong about something and I'm right about something and vice versa, right? Usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. We've got to cut the crap. We've got to stop letting the internet and media and our politicians tell us who our neighbors are. Trust your neighbor before you trust those people, because those people don't even know your name.
Okay. So we're going to switch segments now. We're going to go into a second segment, and I didn't really tell you about this.
Okay.
Where we're going to ask you some, we call it our rapid fire round, where we ask you questions about you and your preferences on things.
Trivia game.
Before we do that, two things. Where can people go, and we'll do this at the end again, to find out more information about you?
Yeah.
And or if they want to donate to your campaign.
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's www.anneforkansas.com, and it's Anne with an E. And that will get you everywhere you need to go. And if you follow me on Facebook, I'm Anne Elizabeth, and that's me. My team does have, we do have social media, various other places, and I think you can find all of those on the website too. You can also donate through the website, or you can, I don't know if the address is up there, but I'll put the address. If a lot of people are uncomfortable with ActBlue, and I don't know, kind of don't blame them. But so I'll make sure that that's up there if you do want to donate. I'd also love to have you volunteer with me. I want, there's only one thing more powerful than money, and that's people. And I really want to bring the people together. So
that's awesome. Second part of this is I usually wear a nonprofit t-shirt because I want to shout out the nonprofits out there just so people know about it. Today I am wearing black with my Chiefs logo in moratorium for the Chiefs being out of the playoffs for the first time ever, for Patrick Mahomes being hurt, tearing his ACL. I'm not sure if you're a big Chiefs fan.
When they go to the Super Bowl, I'm all
over. Okay.
I love them though. They are. They're very lovable.
So, just it was a rough weekend for me watching football and seeing all of that. And so a shout out to Patrick Mahomes. I know he just had surgery. Hey, we're pulling for you and we're praying for you. To get back to being the man again.
My niece's favorite team, actually. Shout out to my niece Aubrey. She loves the KC Chiefs. It's her favorite. So
that's awesome. All right. So now we're going to start rapid fire questions. So the first one, what is your morning go-to drink?
Coffee.
How?
Okay. So they have to be fast? My answers are always, coffee with cream, plain cream though. I don't like
you're not a Starbucks girl.
Mate. We're Starbucks is striking, so I'm not crossing that. But really, their coffee's not that great anyway. No, we've got a nice espresso machine at home that my husband, he's fancy like that.
Okay. Early riser or night owl?
Oh man, I really I'm an early riser. Like I used to get up early all the time. My husband's the opposite, and so it's a battle between good and evil at my house in the mornings and the evenings.
Barbecue or steakhouse?
Ooh, that depends on the day, man.
Tough questions.
Do I have to pick?
You got to pick.
Oh, which steakhouse, which barbecue joint?
You got to tell me.
Casey Joe's, I think.
Oh, that's most everybody's number one around here.
Yeah.
KU or K-State?
Nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Why?
You know why.
What's your favorite Kansas tradition?
Cinnamon rolls and chili.
Okay. One thing you always have with you when you travel.
Water bottle.
Okay.
With ice, please.
What show are you binge watching right now?
I don't get to binge watch shows very much right now. My daughter and I, we're watching Young Sheldon, and we love that. But my favorite show of all time, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it, is Life in Pieces. Hilarious. If you want to know my sense of humor, that's where you find it.
What book has stuck with you the longest?
Book has stuck with me the longest. That's a hard one. I don't know. I like to read like historic nonfiction.
Okay.
There was this. I read a memoir by a guy who escaped North Korea.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons that I'm so terrified of dictators, right? Because I read what life is like. So I highly recommend that one. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a really good one, and it stuck with me.
How do you unwind after a long day?
I just chill out with my family.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Both, but if I have to choose, I'm probably getting a dog.
All right. What food could you eat every day and not get tired?
Ooh, that's tough. Probably. Well, that's hard. Right?
Yeah, I didn't say they were easy questions.
It's got to be something spicy, though.
Oh, it's got to be spicy. Okay.
I need spice in my life. Maybe. No. What's yours?
I don't have one. This question's
what
for
do you recommend?
All right. One Kansas restaurant you think everyone should visit at least once.
One Kansas restaurant. I don't know. Like, I'm not I love Spice Bombay. It's the owners are friends of ours, and they're great people, and they have great Indian food. So chicken makhani is what I recommend if you're going there.
All right.
But no.
Best piece of advice you've ever gotten? Nice. That is it.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much for being on. It's fun to get to know you. You're super passionate, which I think is what we need more in politics. You seem like you really love people, which is another thing that we really need. And when you really get going, there's kind of a Southern accent that comes out.
You should hear me when I yell at my children.
I can only imagine.
Every once in a while, I have an Indian accent.
Really? Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much.
We're glad to have you.
A lot of fun.
Good luck in your race, and we'll be watching.
Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. I love that you're educating people. I think that's huge. We need more of that.